One person that in particular that's really good on and sharp on this topic is Antonio Moore. Shout out to the ADOS movement. Him and Yvette do some outstanding work from a political standpoint and putting things in perspective for Black people in the modern days and time. So salute to the brother, a big fan of his and his work in discussing Black people from an economic standpoint and sociological standpoint. But here again, he brings in his video, one of his latest videos, LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith gossip doesn't matter, all while Trump is gutting America's resources. So let's take a listen in on what Brother Antonio Moore had to say about this topic.
Discussion that everybody know about is this weird confrontation between gambling spokespeople. LeBron do DraftKings, Stephen A. do ESPN Bets, and they sell it to low pro Black people and pro white people. And Trump pointing at you. I got a full queue, 310-388-3499 to hear from you. Here's Stephen A. Smith last month complaining about people close to LeBron, texting him about the issue he has with him. So you don't like when he uses back channels or confronts you. This is what this man is talking about. This grown man is on here babbling about this a few days ago. Stephen A. Smith calls out LeBron James' camp for seemingly trying to silence his critics. What are we talking about?
So this is Tone, and Tone doesn't really cut cars, brother from Southern California. He doesn't tiptoe through the tulips on this topic. Black people are in a real struggle to reach adulthood collectively, particularly certain generations such as Gen X and older millennials have not reached the point of political maturity, and we're still talking about things that are very much irrelevant to our cause.
In the middle of this, they talking about that as grown adults that don't have enough.
Exactly. You know, we see, I did the story on Black Lives Matter Plaza being demolished, which is more symbolic than anything. I see most people really don't care, and I can't really say that I do as well, but the symbol and actually what it represents, especially particularly coming from the Trump administration and what we'll see, and we also see the story coming out of Lincoln Heights, Ohio. It looks like people are becoming emboldened and Black people are being erased all around the world, to include a lot of the benefits that Black people pretty much received previously are starting to be gutted, starting with the federal workforce.
I want to talk today. I want to keep the discussion going. I want you to understand you're going to have to get to a point where you question who you are. I already gave you ADOS, which re-anchored that you're not African in the continent. You are American descendant of slavery, and you must find yourself inside of that. I already told you about being boomerhood and the fact that you don't buy your mama a house. She pays off your school. How many things can we get done? I got to tell you that you don't sports gamble?
So Tone uses a great phrase here, boomer hook. And I believe he is the creator of the term boomer hook, which is a very serious term with Black people. And as many Black people know, that the boomers, I believe they were born between 1945 and 1965. Don't get me wrong, but I know it's sometime after World War II, going up to 1965. That's pretty much the generation that were able to purchase houses at a very low cost. In some cases, merely in the five figures back in the 70s and possibly early 80s. And those houses are worth well into six figures in most cases. And with those people being able to get the civil service jobs and federal jobs en masse, the first generation to be able to do so, they have the pensions, they have the house value in ways that Gen X, which was born between 1965 and 1980, and the Millennials, who were born between let me see. I want to say 1980, 1995. If I'm wrong, please drop that in the comments. But again, the boomers were the generation that got the benefits, right? So you had the civil rights movement and America in an attempt to comply with the mandates of all of the subsequent acts, both locally and on a federal level. They reaped a lot of the benefits, and today they have the wealth as a result of it. But at some point, that was cut off for Black people. So there was a limitation kind of to get out of the Black nationalist civil rights movement. So they pretty much gave Black people everything they wanted at that time, mostly in the way of affordable housing and jobs. And we see that in our families, for the most part throughout America, the people that have the most amount of money are these baby boomers because of the wealth and the benefits. You're talking about people that were able to get high-paying jobs with just high school diplomas. For Generation X and Millennials, that was not even a possibility. In many cases, I know millennials who have 2 master's degrees and working entry-level positions. So we see that in our families that the baby boomers are the generation that have most of the money. So the term boomer hook is that most people have to rely on that baby boomer or the collective of baby boomers in the family for financial relief. So you essentially become hooked to the people in your family from that generation. And there are stats, and I think Antonio called it out, that when that generation passes away, the baby boomers, though that are pretty much Black wealth is over. It goes below zero at that point because Gen X and the millennials don't have that wealth, and Gen Z is just starting to enter the workforce.
And then you fight me on that? And I gotta tell you that the people that sell it to you ain't about nothing. We live in America where the late car payments have risen to the highest level in over 30 years. High car prices and elevated interest rates have strained auto loan borrowers. But you talking about how Gilbert Arenas brought Stephen A. on the show from the underdog sports betting. So we got DraftKings with LeBron, we got ESPN Bets with Stephen A., and we got Gilbert Arenas with underdog. And you don't know why these people are everywhere all the time?
So again, he's pretty much calling out, and I think he'll say it in this clip at some point, that these sports betting agencies are sponsoring nearly all of these Black podcasts that are generating hundreds of millions, if not billions of views, and they're sponsoring. So these podcasts, pretty much their financial model is not you being the one to consume and them getting paid from social media platforms. You are your eyeballs are being paid for to look at these podcasts because they are sponsored by these gambling houses. The gambling houses want you to be gamblers, so they have to have a vehicle or a resource to get you to outside of the traditional marketing and advertising. So they say, hey, you have a podcast, you can get Cat Williams on your podcast. If you can get hundreds of millions of views, that's marketing advertising gold. So here's some money. And if you can ensure that your ratings will stay high and your views will stay high, we will continue to sponsor you. So in many of these cases, a lot of these people are just advertising pretty much for the gambling agencies, and the entertainment is second.
Told you, in my belief, Shannon Sharp interview with Cat Williams was only popular because they had DraftKings in the corner and something was done with the algorithm. It's just not an important enough story to own nostalgic black story. How many times do we got to hear about what happened on the Friday set? Or what happened when Cat Williams seen Corey Holcomb or any comedian in 1999 walking?
Antonio is right. Why was the Cat Williams interview so compelling? And on a personal note, to me, as a people, and I know a lot of black people on here say, "Well, I don't care what you think. You ain't nobody. You don't care. I don't care what your thoughts are." It looks bad. It really looks bad to the outside world. Like, how can we be taken seriously as a people? And again, our people, we like to talk slick, but when it gets real, we see the effects of our actions on a lot of these things. And this is not to down talk our people for the most part, but we definitely have to scrutinize and use critical thinking as it relates to some of the things that we consume.
Bunch of underdog sports betting promotion. This whole Hunger Games nonsense is crazy. You got grown men having a high school dispute in a very serious moment where people might starve. Both these grown men worth hundreds of millions of dollars off of selling you this.
So again, we're about 6 weeks into the Trump presidency, 5 weeks into the Trump presidency that has been moving with hurricane gale force winds, and somehow, even with the panic that Trump is doing this, that, and the third, we still find ourselves in the midst of consuming entertainment. And again, Tone is pointing out that isn't it ironic that this clip goes viral where LeBron confronts Stephen A. Smith, but at the same time, they are big pitchmen for these gambling houses.
All these people are just out here. They out here setting up a destruction battle that many of you will not realize you're in until your teeth rot from this gambling. I'm saying it to you first, and I'm saying it to you last. What will happen is that, particularly with the sports gambling, it will cause a crack-like scourge on poor America, but particularly Black America. And then all of these people will play like they're confused, from Joe Budden to Shannon Sharp to Gilbert Arenas to LeBron James to Stephen A. Smith to Charles Barkley. They're going to all act like they didn't know it could get that bad.
So we're in a gangster rap type situation, right? So in the early 90s and the 2000s, where record companies were looking for particular acts to emulate gangster rap, and a lot of people kind of sacrificed their abilities in whatever type of rap they were doing to kind of do this gangster rap because it paid more. Here we have a similar situation to the gangster rap artists, where now the celebrity athletes are pitching us another thing. It's not gangster rap this time, it's gambling. And so this is another vice that has been added to the community. And look at the graphic on the screen where he's saying late car payments have risen to the highest level in over 30 years. So 30 years ago would be 1995, right? And that is kind of looking like, we don't know where we stand as a people in the United States of America. And as long as we continue to ignore these realities, and the old adage is, when the white man has a cold, Black people have pneumonia. Because whatever impacts America in a negative light, it negatively impacts Black people in America tenfold. So, okay, this is a generic stat. But when you hear these general stats as it relates to America overall, you can only imagine what this means for Black people.